GM everyone. Okay. So we had already a GM in our chat. Okay. So let me, Varun is our speaker. Varun is a blockchain engineer at Chainrisk, and he's also a Polygon advocate. Okay. So as I said, stay with us till the end because he will be making some exciting announcement. And today we are here for the Web3 101 session. This is the fourth event of Hack4Bengal season 3. You folks must be knowing about Hack4Bengal, right? How many have you all pre-registered for Hack4Bengal season 3? Let me see in the chat. Sordeep, can you just drop the link for the pre-registration? If
Sure, sure.
folks who have not pre-registered can pre-register. If you have any doubts regarding pre-registration, it's simple. Like if you pre-register for season 3, you will get a special mail in your in your inbox. Okay, and then you can register. Then our main form will be out soon, very soon. So then you can register for Hack for Bengal season 3. Okay. Okay, so Sardeep has already sent the form. You all can fill it and pre-register for season 3. Okay, coming back to Hack for Bengal, Hack for Bengal is the largest and most dynamic hacker community in the Eastern India. We have over 3,000 members, and our mission is to leverage technology for meaningful causes, solve real-world problems, through innovation, encourage hackers to showcase their skills and make a significant impact on this tech-driven world, and especially the tech community in Bengal. Without wasting more time, let's dive into our event. We are thrilled to have our speaker, Varun, who is a blockchain engineer at Chainrisk and also a Polygon advocate. Over to you, Varun.
Yeah, thanks, Amandeep. GM, everyone. So glad to see you all here. Excited to learn about Web3. First question: how many of you have done? How many of you have been into Web3 before? How many of you have some information, some knowledge about what Web3 is or how it works? You can just raise your hand or put an emoji in the chat. One. So I'm guessing not a lot. Okay. Two. Okay. Very few. Okay. Uh, yeah. Okay. So if you've been in the Web3 space, then you know. Or if you've not been in the Web3 space, you still might have done some sort of trading beforehand. So how many of you have done that? How many of you have done trading, crypto trading, anything? It can be any sort of token-based trading. It can be on platforms like CoinDCX or WazirX. You can just raise your hands if you've done that. A few. So first rule of Web3 is in order to get into Web3, this is the first rule. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this is the first rule of Web3. When someone asks for your crypto portfolio, it should be down by minus 99%. Okay. So that's the first rule of Web3. If you're not down, then you're not a developer. You're not a Web3 developer. So if your portfolio is down, it's in the negative. Well, congratulations. You've stepped into the world of Web3. That's the first rule. Okay. Okay, jokes apart, Web3 is very vast, right? You may have heard about it. It's been blowing up a lot recently. So it's a lot of things. It's an amalgamation of a lot of things. There's NFTs, there's crypto, there's Web3, there's metaverse, there's blockchain. A lot of these things come together to form a singular entity, which is Web3. So to understand all of these, it may feel a little daunting at first, but it's not. Trust me. If you take it piece by piece, one by one, it's not. It becomes easier. So I'm sure most of you have heard about crypto, right? Crypto are basically tokens like Bitcoin or Ethereum. That's what crypto is. Crypto is the general mode of payments that we use in Web3 and in the blockchain space, right? So that's what. There's no real money in. There's no real currencies in Web3. So cryptos are all digital tokens. So everything, all transactions in Web3 happen through crypto. So that's what crypto is. Now, what are NFTs? How many of you have heard about NFTs? Raise your hands. Okay, cool. So NFTs are basically images that are linked to blockchain. So they are images that live on the blockchain. Now, what do I mean by they live on the blockchain? They're basically secured by some piece of code that ensures that that image can never be removed from the blockchain. Now, what does that mean? How does that benefit you? So right now, let's think about a general use case, right? You have an image in, let's say, your Google Drive, right? And you've kept it there so that you can access it anytime you want. But what if Google goes down, right? What if the Google servers go down? That's a pretty difficult thing to happen, but it is possible. It's not absolutely impossible. So let's say Google servers go down all over the globe, and Google Drive will eventually, since it is connected to the Google servers, it will lose all its data. And you, having your images and your data inside Google Drive, will lose your data, and there is no way of getting it back. I repeat, there is no way of recovering it once their servers go down. So what happens then? You lose all your data. You might have very important documents in it, right? Your school certificates, your college certificates, whatever, and you lose all of it. And you can blame Google all you want, but it's not going to help. No, yeah. So you can blame Google all you want. It's not going to help because there's nothing they can do about it. It must have been some technical glitch, some malfunction, and the servers go down. So that's what NFTs try to solve in the Web3 space. Code that goes into creating an NFT and securing an NFT on a blockchain ensures that that code will never go down. In essence, blockchains can never go down since they are not a single server. They are basically decentralized servers, which mean that there are multiple servers running, all anonymous and all interconnected. So even if one server goes down, it is not a single point of failure for the other servers to go down. That means there could be n number of servers, and there is very, 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 very low possibility that all of the n servers will go down. So that's how blockchain secures your data. If the NFT is on a blockchain, it means it is in each of the nodes. So as long as one node out of the n nodes are active, your data is secure, your data will not be lost. That's how blockchains secure your data. Now, what is metaverse? Metaverse, you can think of it like virtual reality, but it's a lot more than virtual. At least people are trying to make it a lot more than just virtual reality or VR games. So it's what they are trying to do with metaverse is creating a digital world where people can do the same things that you do in the real world, right? Imagine something like how many of you are gamers here? Like shout out, raise your hands if you're a gamer. Yeah. So I'm sure if you are a gamer, you've played Grand Theft Auto, right? Someone must have. 4, 5, 3, doesn't matter. You've played one of them, or you've heard about it, or you've seen it, right? So imagine GTA in VR, right? That's somewhat metaverse. That's what they're trying to do. But the currencies, the transactions that you do inside that metaverse are all real money. So since crypto is digital currency, that digital currency can be plugged into the virtual reality world, and you can have transactions of real money, right? So if you buy something in game like a skin, you can buy it inside your virtual reality with crypto, and that's how metaverse that's what metaverse is trying to build. It's still at a very nascent stage. There's not been a lot of adoption of metaverse, but yeah, they're growing, they're adapting to what the users need, and yeah, they're building. Right. So now, what is Web3? Now, so I like to think. I'm sure most of you, some of you who've been introduced to Web3 before, have heard about this fact that Web3 is read, write, own. Right? Have you heard about this? Is Web3 is read, write, and own your data. But what does that mean? I've seen a lot of people preach this, that Web 1 versus Web 2 versus Web 3, but I myself had a lot of issues understanding how that evolution happens. So I'm going to give you a visual representation of how the web has evolved. I'm sure before Web 3, none of you have actually heard about something called Web 1 or Web 2, because those terms were not famous back then. Before Web 3 started. Now that there is a new form of internet, it's basically decentralized internet. That's basically called Web 3. Now, what is Web 2? Web 2, I'm going to go backwards. So we are currently at Web 3. I'm going to go to Web 2 and Web 1. That's, you'll understand the how the code has evolved. what is Web 2? Web 2 is basically the everyday apps that you use. Google Meet is a Web 2 app. Instagram is a Web 2 app. Snapchat is a Web 2 app. Twitter is somewhat hybrid, I would say. But yeah, Facebook is a Web 2 app. So these are Web 2 apps. Now, what is Web 1 app? If you've been to these Web3 sessions, or if you've heard introduction to Web3 before, you must have heard that Web1 is basically a read-only website. But no one actually gives an example of what is a read-only website, right? You don't understand what you mean by a read-only website. Because most of us, when we were born, the web had already evolved to Web2. So I'm going to give you an example of a Web1 website, right? Uh, I'm going to put this link in the chat. You guys can check it out. Everyone can check it out. So this is basically a Web 1 app. This was created. You can see this was created in 1996 by Warner Bros. Right, you can see it at the bottom. It's a Web 1 app. Now, why is it a Web 1 app? Firstly, look at the UI. It sucks, right? But you'll still say that this can still be created in today's world. Of course, it can. But the only thing you can do is you can just click on these planets, and it'll take you to a new page.
Excuse me, Varun. I think your screen is not shared.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Is it visible now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Carry on.
Yeah. So this is basically a Web 1 app. This was created in 1996 by Warner Bros. Now, the only thing you can do here is click on these planets, and it will take you to a web page where they'll write something about that planet. So Space Jam was a very famous show or cartoon back then. So that this is a Web 1 app. Okay, so this is how bad it was back in pre 2000s. So this I have also put the link in the chat. Everyone can check it out. But yeah, so this was created in 1996. Before all these advanced architecture and server architectures were ever there. And the only thing you can do is literally click on these planets. It takes you to a new page. This is literally an HTML file. You can see that at the end of the endpoint, it's .html. So that's literally what it is, HTML and CSS. So yeah, back to our presentation. So this is a Web 1 app. Web 2 was evolutionary. It was definitely a breakthrough. It created all these user end applications. Right, Instagram is a user end application. Facebook, these are all user end applications. Now, what Web 3 is bringing is it is bringing all of Web 2 along with decentralized internet. What do you mean by decentralized internet? What do you mean by decentralized finance? It basically means that the servers that Web3 applications are hosted on or will be hosted on in the near future will all be decentralized, which means if the servers go down, if one of the server goes down, the website will not go down. That's the whole point. That's what I explained, how a blockchain works, right? That's what these servers will also consist of. There are applications like Filecoin and Arweave that are trying to build this. They're trying to build a decentralized internet on which you can deploy your application, but it will not be a singular server. It will be a multitude of servers or group of servers, anonymous, but all decentralized. And if one server goes down, the entire platform will not go down. And it also, well, it will majorly run on crypto. The transactions will all be on crypto, but it may or may not support traditional financial currencies as well. That is up to the application developers to decide. So that's your Web 1 application. Now, you may ask, what is the point of an NFT, right? Like, why are simple images so expensive? I mean, you can just click. You can click if you didn't know. You can right click on an NFT image and just save it as a JPG to your folder, and you can put it as your wallpaper. No one can sue you. No one can legally sue you. No one can do anything about that. So, what is the point of buying an NFT, such an expensive NFT? So the point is not the NFT itself. The point is the significance of the ownership. If you have an NFT, if you legally or if you actually buy an NFT, you have the metadata information which links your address to that image. So if you have ever wanted to prove your authenticity, if you wanted to prove that you are the actual authentic owner of that image, you can do that. Anyone who right clicks an image and saves it as a JPG will not have that metadata, right? So because why do they not have that metadata? Because when you buy an NFT, the code, which I told you, the NFTs are hosted on some code is holding that NFT. So when you buy an NFT, that code points its owner to your address. Everything that happens on a blockchain, every transaction is happening through an address, and that's not your traditional home address. That's a digital wallet address. Think of it like your UPI ID in Google Pay, right? So that's an address. We have the same concept in the Web3 space. It's from a digital wallet like MetaMask or any digital wallet that you may use. We generally have an address which is basically your identity in the Web3 space. So if you're buying an NFT, it points that image owner to your address. Now let's talk about the different verticals in Web3, and this is completely development based. I'm not talking about community side or marketing side or any other analysis side. This is just because I'm considering most of you are developers. Excuse me. So I'm considering most of you are developers. So this is going to be verticals in Web3 development side. So there's protocol development. What is protocol development? Protocol development is the core is a core developer. What do you mean by core developer? Core developer is someone who builds the actual blockchains, right? There's a lot of complexity and lot of complicated code that goes into building a blockchain. There's a lot of complicated cryptography that you have to go through. There's a lot of testing. There's a lot of time and effort that you go and make into by before developing it into a full-fledged blockchain. That's what a protocol developer does. So people working at Ethereum Foundation, right? They are the core developers of Ethereum. They maintain the blockchain. That's what a protocol developer is. Smart contract developer is another vertical, which is the most common thing in Web3. Everyone who starts in Web3 will mostly start from smart contract development. Now, what do you mean by smart contract development? It basically means writing the code that is deployed on the blockchain. This could mean for Ethereum, it's a language called Solidity. For Solana, it is a language called Rust. So there are different languages for different blockchains. And if you're a smart contract developer, you'd be basically writing the programs in the respective languages. Now, what is smart contract security? So you could be a security researcher. This is somewhat you could compare this to a cybersecurity specialist in a Web2 field, but you do not need any Web2 experience to get into smart contract security. What you do need is smart contract development security, smart contract development experience. So this is step one. Then comes security. Security is a level higher than developer. So you need to understand development first, then you get into security. Next vertical is decentralized finance, which is basically finance on the decentralized web. This is a very big field. Most of the big projects are actually built on decentralized finance. They are DeFi projects. So if you heard about Uniswap or Aave, these are all DeFi projects, right? And the people who are creating these projects, they work in decentralized finance. Next could be an NFT creator. Uh, Basically, the image that I showed you right before, that's an NFT, and it's not easy to make an NFT contract. It may seem easy, but there are a lot of loopholes that you have to tackle as a developer. You need to ensure that the contracts are airtight and they cannot be hacked into stealing NFTs, because that has happened before. So you could be an NFT developer, which means you will mostly work with these media related contracts. There's infrastructure developer. Infrastructure developer basically means you're building some tooling. It's mostly developer tooling. So you're building applications that help other developers build applications. That's what infrastructure developer means. Indexing solutions. Now, this is an interesting thing. If you've understood how blockchain works, then you will know that the data in blockchain is not structured. It's very scattered. It doesn't point to the relevant data you're looking for. It's very scattered throughout all these blocks and chunks of code. So what indexing solutions do is basically bring the data all together and make a sensible path for you to track the data. If you're searching for data specific to, let's let's say, a specific NFT project, then indexing solutions will help you get that data in a very fast and efficient manner. Storage solutions, projects like Filecoin, they provide storage solutions. Basically, it's, you can think of it like Google Drive for decentralized web. So decentralized Google Web. So basically, that's what the storage solutions provide. And identity solutions, you can look up Polygon decentralized identity. They are one of the leading solutions in identity. They basically allow you to link your decentralized identity, so your MetaMask address to your Aadhaar card, to your whatever you may want to link it to. That's what they provide. They provide a solution where you can build on it. Actually, you can build projects on it where you allow a person to link his or her MetaMask address to some Web2 identity provider. So that could be Aadhaar, that could be passport. Of course, you would need permission from the Aadhaar service or the passport service to do that. These are some of the verticals. There are a lot more, but these are some of the verticals that you could look at if you're interested in. You could get into these. Now let's talk about roadmap. I think this is a very uh, conflicting topic, because the first step that I tell everyone to get into is understand why. Why do we need blockchain? Just because a person called Varun Doshi is taking a class and telling you people that do blockchain development, you don't do blockchain development. You don't do it because I'm telling you to. You first understand, why do we need blockchain? Do we really need blockchain? Is it helpful? Is it actually going to help people? And if you think that it's actually not needed, you don't do it. So you need to have absolute firm belief that this technology is required. If you don't, then you don't move forward with any of the other steps. And that's no offense. That's not an offensive thing to do. But if you feel that blockchain is really required, that's only when you get into development. If not, then you're going to face problems down the road with your belief. Belief is, I feel, the strongest thing in Web3. There are going to be 10 people lined up telling you that we don't need Web3 and Web3 is pointless, you're just spending more money. But if you actually believe in it, if you're actually building the right tools, you know you'll get out well in the end. So first step is understand why. Research about blockchain, learn why it's needed. Don't dive deep into technicalities of blockchain. Just try to understand why it's needed, why it exists, what was the reason why it happened in the first place, why was Bitcoin created, right? So Bitcoin is a revolutionary technology. Start with Bitcoin, then move to Ethereum. Okay. So next step is start with basics. Now you try to understand the you go one level up, you go one level above the basic why question. You start asking, what is blockchain? You start asking, how does it work? But still on the surface level, that's what you do. You understand the basics. You understand the uh, what's the stack of what's the architecture of a blockchain. Step 3 is don't jump into the code. This is also another thing which I tell a lot of people, which I see a lot of beginners doing. Just jump right into the code. They start developing things without actually doing point number 1 and 2. So you need to do point 1 and 2, and you need to be clear with why you want to be a blockchain developer or a Web3 developer. You should not do it because there's a hype around NFTs going on, or there's a hype around DeFi going on. If you believe in the tech, that's when you do the tech. Next point is jump into the code. Now, if you're completely sure that this is what you want to do, now you start developing. Now you start coding. Now, most probably, majority of you will get started with Ethereum, which is the which is like the highest leading blockchain development, a blockchain, let's say. So I'm going to start with Ethereum, and the language that Ethereum uses is Solidity, which is a completely new language built specifically for Ethereum. It does not have a general use case in a general world. It's built specifically for Ethereum blockchain. So you're going to use Solidity, and you're going to get started with Solidity. And I advise everyone to get started first with Solidity and not with any other language. There are many other languages. There's Rust, there's Move, there's Sway. There are many more, but I would suggest to get started with Solidity because it is beginner friendly. And I want to put it in quotes that it is beginner friendly, not an easy language. So once it's easier to get started, but it's difficult to master. So whenever you choose a language in a completely new domain like this, like if I'm guessing most of you are new, so You go with something that is easy to start. You go with Solidity. Right now, you play around with a few verticals. So the verticals that I mentioned here, most of you will not get into protocol development first because it generally works with more machine level languages. So other than that, you can play around with smart contract development, security, finance, NFTs, infrastructure, maybe indexing, storage, and identity, but definitely these five. So once you play around with them, you get a feel of which one you're inclined to. If you're really enjoying developing smart contracts, right? If you're enjoying building those programs on the blockchain, then that's what you go for. You can play around with security once you're at a decent level with development. You can start building DeFi applications. So the good thing about Web3 is everything is open source. All the projects that are in the industry all are open source. So you can go to their code, you can check them out, you can actually fork their code and build your own project out of it. Of course, you would have to change something to not make it look absolutely same. But yeah, so you can check out their code, you can understand why they're doing this and what's the purpose of that, and you can understand. That's how you learn. That's really how you learn. You have to be an open source guy in Web3. All the code is available out there on GitHub. You can check it out. Any project that is a Web3 project will have open source code. So you play around with decentralized finance or NFTs or infrastructure, and then if you feel like you're inclined to one of them, you choose that vertical and you master it. So I just want to be clear: no one can be all of these, right? You can't. It's not possible. Even in your Web2 traditional thing, right? There's a concept of there's no concept of like you're an everything developer. It's not, right. It's one stack, it's Angular, it's iOS developer, it's Android development, it's whatever. There are different verticals in that. So similarly, there are different verticals here. You could be a full stack developer and be a smart contract developer. That is possible, but you cannot be a DeFi developer and an NFT developer at the same time. If you're trying to be a DeFi developer, so decentralized finance is basically DeFi. If you're trying to be a DeFi developer, there's a lot of concept and maths that you need to understand to master it, and you will not have the same math level of math on NFTs if you're doing NFT development. So these two do not go together. Security and development do go somewhat hand to hand, but if you're trying to master security, you will have to stop being a developer. You're going to have to develop a hacker mindset, and by hacker I mean actual hacker. I don't mean like a hackathon hacker. I mean an actual person who's trying to hack into systems. So you're going to have to develop that mindset. That is a different mindset from a developer mindset. So to build that, you're going to have to completely focus on security and not on the development side of it. So my point being that choose one vertical and master it. Don't go for everything all at once. Uh, you'll end up losing a lot of time and not mastering anything. So this is the truth about Web3, talking about Web3 and writing Solidity code. I don't want to scare any of you, but Solidity gets complicated later on when you look at big protocols. That's why I said go for one vertical, not more than one. Stick to one, select one which you feel is what you are inclined to. Okay, so I've spoken a lot about tech. I've spoken about all these technical verticals, right? So, but Web3 is not all tech. Even if you're a developer, you need to have other soft skills, right, to break into Web3. Now, what are those soft skills? Twitter is a big point here. Okay, everyone, if you're trying to get into Web3, you need to have a Twitter account. All big communities, I'm sorry, not even big communities, every person who's in Web3 will have a Twitter account. Okay, so you need to make sure you have a Twitter account. All the updates that you get, anything about hacks, about new updates, new development updates, you're gonna get it all from Twitter. It's not gonna be on any other platform. So create a Twitter account if you don't have one. Second is events. You're at one event right now. There are countless number of events happening throughout the year in almost every city in India. There are many Web3 events in Kolkata as well that have been happening already. There are like, I'm sure there's been like at least 20 Web3 events in Kolkata till now in this year. So you should definitely attend these events. They provide a lot of opportunities. You can get networking, and actually crack your first internship or your job by meeting some founder at events. Next is hackathons. Web3 is very big on hackathons. Most of them you'll find are online, some are offline, but we'll talk about hackathons a little later. I have another slide on that. Open source, like I said, Web3 is all open source. You can check out anyone's code. You can actually copy it and you can modify it and build your own project out of it. Next is communities. All Web3 projects will have their own communities. So if you're interested in a project, you join a community. And so communities are basically online groups. It can be on Discord, it can be on Telegram, it can be on any other chatting application. So that's what communities are. Join communities, and that's how you get in touch with people in the Web3 space. Stay up to date. So stay up to date is connected to Twitter and communities. You need to do these two things to stay up to date with whatever is happening in the ecosystem. Next is bounties. Everything in Web3, there's a lot more bounties in Web3 than there are in Web2 uh, applications. So you must have heard there are bounties for Google. Google does bounties for if they found if anyone finds a vulnerability in their application, they give bounties. But Web3 has a lot more bounties. So every project that is trying to launch will have its own bounty before launching, and that is good for you since you can basically earn money by figuring out what mistake that their developers have made. So basically, if anyone told you that you can never make money by complaining, well, guess what? You can do that in Web3. Just complain that you did this wrong, and if you're actually on point, then they'll pay you for that. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about hackathons. Like I said, hackathons play a big part in Web3. There are like literally countless number of hackathons happening throughout the year, and you should definitely start your journey with a hackathon. If you have touched upon smart contract development, if you know basics, just go to a hackathon, try to build something. If you don't build something, if you are not able to build something, it's still fine. You still learn. So there is no losing in a hackathon. You always learn. You win a prize, that's good. You're still learning. If you don't win, that's also okay. You're still learning. So first suggestion that I would have is join online hackathons. Since I would not suggest you to go for offline hackathons when you're starting out. Join online hackathons. There are many online hackathons, and get a feel of how these hackathons happen. Next is track prices. So before you go to a hackathon, always check out the track prices. So there are you may have heard that most general hackathons have first prize, second prize, third prize, but Web3 hackathons have first, second, third, as well as another list of tracks. Tracks are basically companies who are sponsoring those hackathons. They have their own prizes. So if you're good at work, if you have experience working with this with the particular let's say protocol or project, you can check that that project is actually a sponsor or is giving a track at a hackathon. That's good for you. So research well before you go to the hackathon. Research about the track prices and what those track prices are, like what should your project be to be eligible for those track prices. Next is ideation. Do not go to a hackathon and sit and think like, what am I going to build? Take out time a week before hackathon. If you have a team, sit with your team and think about what you're going to build at the hackathon. Do not go to the hackathon and think like, abhi kya kare, pahunch to gaye, but ab banana kya hai? Do that before the hackathon. Do it at your home and figure out what you're going to build, and then build it at the hackathon itself. Okay, so if you're trying to look for good Web3 hackathons, these are some websites. I'm going to share this slide with Amandeep. You can share it with the Hack4Bengal Discord or whatever. And basically, these are a list of a few good websites where you can find Web3 hackathons. Devfolio has Web2 and Web3, but there are a lot of Web3 hackathons on it as well. If you want a screenshot, just take a screenshot. Otherwise, I'm going to share the slide anyways. Okay, so that's mostly the theoretical side of it. Now we're going to build a token smart contract. So yeah, I will just set that up. So I will suggest everyone who does not have a MetaMask installed. So MetaMask is basically digital wallet, like I had said before. If you don't have that installed, install it right now. How many of you have MetaMask installed? Can you raise your hands? Yeah, I'm just gonna switch off my camera because I think my network is bad. But yeah, how many of you have MetaMask installed? Not. I think. Okay. Okay. So if you don't have, I'm just gonna walk you through it. Yeah, okay. So what you do is you just search for MetaMask extension, and it will be the first link that pops up. So it's a Chrome extension. You can, so it will be add to Chrome, add to wherever Chrome or Brave, whatever browser you're using. Just select on that, and it will pop open a extension like this. Let me know if anyone is having an issue to find this MetaMask Chrome extension. So once you have the wallet, you're going to have to set up a few things. Basically, it gives you an option to set up your password, and it gives you a few words, keywords, right? So there are a set of 12 keywords. You know what? I'll just remove the extension and do it again. Sure. Okay.
Uh, okay, Varun.
Yeah.
While everyone is installing MetaMask right now, Tanmay has a very interesting question for you. Like, what
Sure.
are DAOs and how is it connected to Web3?
Right. So, okay, so I didn't touch upon DAOs before. Okay, so DAOs are basically, well, the full form is decentralized autonomous organizations. You can think of them as basically, uh, you know that in a big company like let's say any big company will have a circle of investors, or you can say high level people who are actually making the decisions. It's not made by it's not made by one person. Generally there's a council, right? There's a council of people that decide on what's the next move, what update should we push next. So there's a council. So what DAOs are basically, they're synonymous to these councils. So basically what they do is they're groups of individuals. They're very limited to the people who get entry. So you have to be either connected to the right people, or you need to be in the right organization to be part of DAOs. They're basically groups that take that make decisions that alter the flow of a project. They basically act like a council for a protocol, but in the Web3 sense, and they get into consensus through applications where whatever decisions are made, they put it into votes. And if the vote, let's say a vote is uh, should we add filters to our camera application, and there are 6 people in that DAO, and 4 people choose yes, 2 people choose no. That's the So basically they add a filter to their camera applications. That's how DAOs work. It's basically a council, but in the Web3 sense, and the decisions are okay. So one point is the council members are anonymous. So basically, person A does not know who person B is. It can be anyone. So one person might be sitting in Germany, the other person could be in USA, one could be in India. So that's how DAOs work. Uh, Okay, so if you're having some issues installing MetaMask, I'm just going to do it again. You can follow me. Any other questions? Yahoo, no, Yahoo. I'm not sure when Yahoo was released. Maybe it was pre 2000, but they've updated it to be very much user centric now. Right. So this is the page that you must have come across with after installing it. So just create a new wallet. I agree. Put in any password, but you should remember what password it is, because You can skip these things right now, you don't need it. Okay, so I think that's all the setup steps that you need. If you've successfully completed the installation, raise your hands. Or if you're still installing it, then raise your hands. Or are people still installing it? Okay, so yeah, I'll wait for 2 minutes. So basically, you just install it and then you follow the steps. You put in a password and make sure you remember the password. Also, just pin your extension so that it's always here. Okay, so that's the basic setup for MetaMask. Let us. Okay, so next thing we need is we'll put these link in the chat. You should open them up. I'll explain everything. Okay, so there are two links I've put in the chat. One is for Open Zeppelin Wizard, and the other one is for Remix. Open Zeppelin, I'm guessing everyone is done with the MetaMask installation. If anyone is still stuck, you can put it in the chat and I'll wait or raise your hands. I think everyone is done. Okay. So Open Zeppelin is basically an industry standard which helps people get started with their smart contract development. So these contracts are basically templates that Open Zeppelin provides, and these are very secure templates, and these have been tested on production level so that there are no security vulnerabilities in them. So you can trust Open Zeppelin. Like literally every big project uses Open Zeppelin templates for their code. So once you're here, just go to wizard.openzeppelin.com if you've not already. Make sure you are on ERC20. What is ERC20? ERC20 is basically the standard for the tokens that are created. So the ERC20, any crypto token is an ERC20, right? You need to, so basically Ethereum or if you've heard of Uniswap, Compound, these tokens are all ERC20 tokens. They're type, what type of token, if anyone asks you, what type of token are these cryptocurrencies? They are ERC20. ERC721 are NFTs. So any NFT will be either ERC721 or ERC1155. These two have different properties, but we'll get into that in a later call maybe. Uh, so ERC20 is basically tokens. ERC721 and 1155 are NFTs or digital media. You don't need to worry about governor, and custom can be anything. Okay, so press on ERC20 and put in whatever you want. Like literally, you can put in your name here and your initials here. So this is basically if your crypto's name would be Bitcoin and your symbol would be BTC. That's what name and symbol signifies. I'm going to put in my name. You can put in whatever you want, put in your name. There's no harm. Click on Mintable. What does Mintable mean? Mintable means that you're going to be able to buy more of these tokens, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to be able to buy more. If this was off, there would not be functionality by which you could buy more tokens. So click on Mintable. Click on Burnable. What does Burnable mean? Burnable means basically you are burning the tokens, and that means you're basically destroying the tokens. If you're destroying the tokens, it basically means you're removing money from the market, right? That's what burnable means. Okay. You don't need permit. Pausable is a common functionality that some tokens will have. It allows basically to pause the entire functionality of the contract. Can anyone guess why we would need pausable? Put it in the chat or raise your hand and open your mic. Can anyone tell me why would you want a pausable functionality? Why would you want to be able to pause your contract? Any guesses, anyone? You can be completely wrong, it's fine. If you have any guess, if you have some idea, just put it in the chat maybe. Okay. So pausable is basically It's basically used when, let's say, your protocol gets hacked, and you have noticed that somehow a hacker is draining money from your contract, and that's when the developers have the ability to pause the functionality of the contract. If you set the state to pause, you can see there's a function called pause. If you set it to true, it basically means that no one else will be able to mm, run this code or call functions on it. And then you fix your bug, and then you upload a new version of the contract, and then you run unpause. And when you run unpause, the functionality comes back, and you can do whatever you want. You can mint, you can burn, whatever you want. But we don't need possible for our project, so we're just going to keep it to this. Other than that, block number, timestamp not needed. Ownable roles managed not needed. Transparent UPS, all this is fine. So now what you do is you copy this to clipboard. So you basically copied this code. You go to Remix. What is Remix? Remix is an online IDE. Basically allows you to code Solidity from an online IDE, right? So you don't need to install any VS Code or anything, or if you don't have it, you don't need to install anything. You can just do everything from this online IDE. So you go to this contracts folder, and you right click and you select new file. Name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it erc20.sol. So .sol is the extension of Solidity. Since we are coding in Solidity, we need to have that extension. So whatever you name it, after that put .sol. Once that is done, just paste your code. Press OK. Let's open this. Basically, this is your code, right? So this is just the code that we copied from OpenZeppelin. We don't need a lot of changes in this. What we can do is we are going to switch to a test net. So basically, in your traditional Web2 sense, there is prod environment, it's a production environment, and development environment, right? So in Web3, there is test nets, which is testing environments, and develop and main net, which is production environments. So let's see. Just go to this button and click on Show Test Networks, and then press on Sepolia. Sepolia is a test network on Ethereum, basically, which what that basically means, it is a testing environment on Ethereum. We will need to get some tokens. So I will I link it to the correct thing. I'll send the links once they're ready. Oh, Google Cloud is a. I didn't know this. But yeah, seems like I'm just gonna test if this works. Let's see. Okay, so you need to sign in. That's cool. So you can take this application and sign in with Google, and then just paste your address here and receive 0.05 ETH, and that should basically give you some tokens right away. I'll wait for everyone to do that. Let me know if you are having issues with. Uh, Yeah, so you can also use the Alchemy one, right? If you so for Alchemy, you'll need to have an account in Alchemy, so you can create an account and do that. Not an issue. So either use the Google one or use the uh, Alchemy one. Both are very good. I didn't know Google had an faucet, but I'm guessing it's new. I'll wait for a minute for everyone to get their faucets. If you're having any doubts or queries, if you're stuck, just let me know. Raise your hands, and you can speak up if you want. Okay, so as you can see, I've received 0.1. I've actually got it from another wallet, but you can basically ask for 0.05. That's enough for our use case. Once you have these testnet ETHs, can I get a consensus on how many people have above zero now? Raise your hands if you have above zero ETH on your wallet. not seeing a lot of people. If you're stuck, let me know, please. I'll explain it. I'll explain the steps again. Okay, I will move forward. So now that you have testnet ETH, we can deploy this contract to development testnet, which is Sepolia. So the network's name is Sepolia. What you're going to do is you're going to go to this tab, deploy and run transactions, select Remix VM, and select injected provider MetaMask. And if it doesn't work, then you're going to have to reload Remix. Sometimes there are glitches. Just reload Remix. Your code will already be there. It won't get deleted or anything. So first go to Solidity compiler, compile your program. Once there's a green tick here, go to deploy and run transactions and select MetaMask. Your MetaMask should pop open and it will just ask you to connect your MetaMask to Remix. Press next, press connect. Once it is connected, we'll be able to see your address here. So this is 0x957 and my address is 0x957, right? So it's the same contract. It has 0.1 Ether and I have 0.1 here also. Okay. So is anyone at this step? Have you connected your account to Remix? Is your MetaMask connected to Remix? Raise your hands if you're connected. Yeah, should we wait for more people to connect? Is anyone stuck? Raise your hands if you're stuck somewhere at some step. I can repeat the steps again. Okay. Seems like everyone's doing fine. So, okay. Next step is basically, so as you can see, how many of you are from an OOPS background, like object-oriented programming? Have you done like maybe Java or any other programming language? Raise your hand or uh, put in your language. Like what was the OOPS language that you had done? Put it in the chat. I want to see. Java. Yeah, that's good. Who else? Anyone? I see a lot of hands. Put in your Java, C++, C++. JS. I would say a more traditional OOPS language would be good, but yeah, JS is also fine. So basically, if you've done anything around OOPS, or even if you studied OOPS in your college, you know that there is a concept called constructor, right? Constructor is basically the first function that runs when your program executes. So Solidity, in that sense, is an OOPS language, not in the traditional sense, but it still has a constructor. So this is basically our constructor. The function you can see is empty. There's nothing in the curly braces, right? So constructor, what it basically does is it takes the address of an initial owner. What do you mean by initial owner? So initial owner basically means that the person who is the owner of this contract. So when you deploy it, you are going to put in your address into the constructor field, and you will be the owner of your contract, right? That's what we want to do. We don't want someone else to be the owner. We want to be the owner of our own contract. So that's what this thing does. Constructor address initial owner. This automatically makes this initial owner address the owner of the contract. Next, this ERC20 and these fields are basically, they are used to name your token. So like I had said, this is Bitcoin, this is BTC, right? It's the same. This is the name, this is the full name, and this is the symbol of your token. And ownable and initial owner basically means that you can own your contract. It's not important. It's the default behavior of an ERC20. Now, the next function that we have is function mint. What does mint allow us to do? Mint basically allows us to buy more tokens, right? That's what I said when I made you click on the mintable button. So without mintable, you would not be able to call the mint function since there does not exist one. So with mint function, now you can mint tokens, which basically means you can create more tokens by buying. You can basically buy more tokens. So what are the parameters in mint function? So this is function. This is basically like you start a function by typing the word function. Then this is the function name, which is mint. Then these are the parameters. The parameters in this case are address to. So who do you want to send these tokens to? It can be yourself, it can be your friend, it can be anyone you want. And human 256 is basically this is basically the type of integer for Solidity. So in JavaScript, it's like any oops language says int, right? So that's basically what Solidity is. It's uint basically means unsigned integer, and amount is the amount of tokens that you want to mint. Public basically means that this function is public. It can be called from inside the contract as well as outside the contract. And only owner means that only the owner of this contract can call mint. This is an optional thing. If you remove it, anyone can call the function. If you keep it, you're the only person who's going to be able to call the function. In this case, let's just keep it on. And this underscore mint is basically an internal function which is handled by OpenZeppelin. So as you can see, this we are importing some OpenZeppelin packages, right? So underscore mint basically comes from this package, and we don't need to worry about what it's doing. It is completely done by the OpenZeppelin package. It basically creates tokens and sends it to the address that we have specified. Any confusion understanding the code? This SPDX license identifier basically means that this code is open source. MIT license by default means that this code is open source, which is the default for, like I said, this is the default for all Web3 applications. And this is, don't need this comment, so just remove it if you want. Any confusion with the code, any doubts, anyone has any queries? Okay, no doubts it seems. So, okay, so once everyone has understood the code, we can deploy it. So this is the deploy button, but you'll see that you can't press it because we need to put an parameter, right? Like I said, we need to put an address parameter. So how do you get that address parameter? You open your MetaMask, and this is your address. This is your personal address, okay? And this is a public address. You can send this to anyone you want. And if someone wants to send you crypto or anything, this is the address that you send to them. So you can just copy that, put that here, paste it here. So you can see 0x957, that was my address. And when you press deploy, creation code storage out of this. Okay, so this will basically be also of custom. Okay, this seems like an open Zeppelin issue, but check. Okay, no matter. Just select Remix VM. Select Remix VM. So sometimes Open Zeppelin packages have problems where gas estimation fails. Gas estimation basically means the unit of currency inside smart contracts. That happens sometimes with Open Zeppelin. We don't need to worry about that. But what you can do is you can switch to Remix VM, which is basically, now you'll see that there's 100 ether here. Don't worry, this is not your account. Okay, you do not have 100 ether. So don't get excited. This is basically artificially created accounts for testing purposes that Remix has provided you with. Okay, so you cannot. This is not real money. This is completely test money that Remix has given you. So once you press Remix VM, just press. So this will be the first address that you have. That's okay. You can deploy it right there. Press on estimated. Right. Make sure you're on estimated gas, and when you deploy it, you'll see that. Yeah. So copy the address from here, put it here again. Make sure this is the address that you're pointing in the constructor. Okay. So copy the address from here. Don't go to MetaMask and do it if you're doing it from Remix, right? For Remix, this address needs to be your initial owner address. So copy it from here, put it here, and deploy it. Once you deployed it, you can scroll down and you'll see this huge bar, which is basically allows us to call all the functions that we have from the like all the functions that are available in our program. So we have decimals, we have name. So name, you can see it's Varun that we had set it to. Owner is basically this address. It's this address that we set it to 5p3. Symbol should be VT. Total supply right now is 0, right? Okay, so now let's get some tokens, right? So we are the owner of the tokens. Now we can finally get some tokens for ourselves. As I said, for mint function, we have an address to and uint amount, right? So we'll need two parameters to pass into the mint function. The mint function is right here. For the address, select on this address, expand this, put it here, right? So when you expand it, you'll see that it's to an amount. So in the to field, put in your address, and in the amount, put any arbitrary number you want. doesn't matter, and transact. Once you transact, you'll be able to see that your balance has gone up. So you can take your account, put it here, press on balance off, and you'll see this is the exact amount that we are putting here. If you want to try it again, let's for testing purposes, let's put in 5 tokens, right? Do it again, and when you press balance off, you see it has incremented by 5. So that's basically an ERC20 contract. This is a very minimal contract. It's not a production level contract. But as you learn, as you get into development, you'll learn what other functions are there in ERC20. All the code for every token is also open source, so you can go check it out. All of them will be an ERC20 token, right? So that was your first. I'm guessing it's your first development, first contract being developed by you. So if you're new to Web3, congratulations on deploying your first contract. I will go back to the slides now. Okay, so we're done with our token contract. How many of you were able to deploy it? I want to see raise of hands. Raise your hand if you were able to deploy the contract. As it runs, yeah, exactly. Remix is very much more beginner friendly. Hard hat is for people who have VS Code installed and who have everything set up. So you'll get into hard hat as you eventually learn about blockchain. But for starters, Remix is very good to play around with contracts. You don't need to worry about setting up MetaMask also, because, like you had seen, Remix provides us with dummy contracts as well. Okay, so next up, we I have a special announcement, right? Any guesses? Anyone wants to guess what this announcement is? So, a small hint: this is going to be something from this page. Like, I'm not going to say which specific keyword, but can anyone guess what the announcement is? If you can, put it in the chat. Let's see. Bounty. Okay, interesting. Anyone else wants to guess what the special announcement is? Go on, just guess. Just guess. Hackathon. I think. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to announce about Hack4Bengal. That will be the team part. Giveaway, airdrop. I see people are already interested in airdrop. Maybe I should have added airdrop to this page. My bad. I forgot about that. Yeah. Any more guesses? Show the screen. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the screen. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So are you ready? Drum rolls. So announcing the DevX tool, Polygon DevX tool. For those who don't know, we had this last year, Polygon DevX tool, which was a huge event. We did it throughout India, and there was one in Kolkata back in November 2023, and there were so many attendees, speakers coming in from outside, speakers who actually work on Polygon core infrastructure. They are literally protocol developers of Polygon. They had come in to take sessions on during the event. So we are having DevX tour again this time, and it's on 8th July. It'll be in Kolkata. We'll announce the venue soon. But yeah, we're having DevX tour. Uh, and this is actually the first time we're announcing it right here on this Hack4Bengal event. So kudos to the Hack4Bengal team. But yeah, so DevX tour has been announced. It's on 8 June. If you're interested, you should be interested. It's Polygon is a leading blockchain solution in all things in ZK. You learn about these terms when you go to the event. It's going to be very development focused. There will be workshops. There will be speakers coming in from outside. People who work on core Polygon, they'll be coming in from outside taking sessions, and it'll be a day-long event. There'll be networking. There'll be swags. There'll be opportunities. There might even be some bounties for later on, and yeah. So if you want to register for DevX Kolkata, here is the QR. Everyone can just scan it. It'll take you to the Luma page, and just register if you want. It'll be a great event for you to come and learn more about Web3. It's a completely Web3 focused event. So if you're interested by anything that I've spoken about today, this is the place to be. I'm going to wait for a minute for everyone to scan, and then I'll move on to the rest. Let me know if the link is working. Yeah, okay. So yeah, the link's also in the chat. If you've not, if you can't scan it, the link's in the chat. If anyone wants to check it out, it's a simple form. I think it asks you for your Twitter profile, a few details about your profession and all. If you don't have a Twitter profile, just like I said, if you're in Web3, you're going to need a Twitter profile. Create one Twitter profile by the end of the day, and you can register for it tomorrow. There's no issues. There's no hurry. But yeah, if you're registering, if you scanned it, please register. We look forward to seeing all of you at DevX2. And that's it. That's it for today's session. According to me, Web3 is going to be huge, and I'm most active on Twitter. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, you can scan this QR or just put in my username on Twitter and reach out to me there. I'm very active on Twitter, so thank you for listening like for an hour, listening to me for an hour blabber about Web3. Uh, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be taking them one by one. But if not, that's it for today. Thank you for attending the event.
Thank you, Varun.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Over to Aman.
Thank you, Varun. Wow, it was such an amazing session. Like we started from 101 of Web3, learned everything, went to everything. Then we just built our own token, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you once again, Varun, for such an insightful session.
Thank you
We
for having
appreciate
me.
your time and effort. Yeah. But wait. Okay.
Yeah,
Before we wrap up, we have a little challenge for you all. Okay. For all the folks present here right now. As Varun mentioned, if you want to be a Web3 developer, you must be active on Twitter. You must be doing learn in public, right? So we would love to see your takeaways from this event on Twitter. What we want is what we want from you is create a detailed thread about what you learned today, your favorite parts of the session, or what are your takeaways from this session, and how are you going to plan your Web3 journey. And this is it. And put a detailed thread, explain everything what you learned, what are your future scopes, and uh, what roadmap are you following, and do tag us, Hack for Bengal and Varun. And one more exciting thing, we will pick the best Twitter thread, and the person who makes the best Twitter thread will get an Hack for Bengal exclusive T-shirt, right? So let's take away something from this event. Do learn in public. Share a Twitter thread, and the best Twitter thread will get a Hack for Bengal exclusive T-shirt. And do make sure to tag us Hack for Bengal at the rate Hack for Bengal and Varun. Okay. So folks, if you have any more doubts, then you can mention here, or else we'll just wrap up this event. Varun, please give your Twitter ID here. Sujita is asking.
yeah, sure. That's my Twitter ID, folks. If you want to ever contact me, if you have any doubts regarding Web3, feel free to ping me. I will reply as soon as possible.
Sure. Yeah, Varun is really active in community. So do feel free to reach out if you have any question from this event or any Web3 related question. Okay. So with this, wrapping this event today. Thank you all for joining us today. Once again, thank you, Varun, and keep innovating and keep hacking. Thank you.
Thank you for joining,
Okay.
everyone.